These are the assembly instructions for my school bus box. So I'm going to start by decorating the panels for my bus. And I've cut the base out of 80-pound cardstock, and I'm just using vinyl to decorate my pieces. I'm looking at a screenshot of my Design Space canvas as I'm applying this vinyl to my school bus pieces, just to make sure that everything is going exactly where it needs to go. So these two pieces are the back and the front of the bus. So this is the back of the bus. I folded down on all the score lines. I'm just going to apply my vinyl pieces just like I did for the sides. So this piece is the front of my bus, and it has the curved part at the top. So I'm just folding down on all the score lines. So I'm just going to apply the vinyl like I did for the back. The only difference being this piece. So this piece has two little cutouts in it. I have cut it in vinyl and in cardstock, and I've adhered the vinyl onto the cardstock. Be sure to stack those openings up on top of one another. So I'm just going to adhere the rest of my vinyl first. So now I'm down to that center piece. I have these tiny little rectangles. So I'm going to fold down on that center score line and then fold those other two score lines downwards like so. And so you're left with an M. I'm going to put glue in the middle parts on the two panels in the middle and glue them together like so. So now you're left with a T. So I'm doing that for both of them. So I'm temporarily going to fold my T flat, and I'm just going to thread the open end into my piece and then open it up again so that I have that little stem that pops up like so. So I'm going to put glue on the underside from the score line to the end on both pieces and then fold them flat against my panel like so. So this is the right side. I'm going to do that with the other one as well. Thread my piece through, put glue from the score line to the edge, and then open it up again, gluing it to the underside of my panel. And then I have my little red circles. I've cut these out of vinyl. I'm going to center it as best I can towards the top. So on each one, I'm just going to adhere it to the top of my little stem. So I want the top of that black piece to be approximately at the center of my circle. Then I'm going to flip it around, glue the other one right on top. Glue this piece on so that my lights are towards the front of my bus. And then I have this final piece of vinyl that I'm just positioning on top. So now we're going to start assembling the box. So my base piece has score lines at the top and at the bottom. So I'm just folding down on those score lines. So my tabs are folded upwards. So in the file I have some very similar pieces. I have 4 of these long ones and 4 of these short ones. So I'm going to put the long ones aside for now, but I need 4 of the short ones for the base of my truck. I've got 4 of these pieces that have to be folded the same way. I'm just folding on all the score lines, and I'm folding down these little tabs on each side. So I'm just smoothing out the edges. Then I have 4 half circles and 4 half circles with tabs on them. So you can see the score line. I'm just folding on the score line. I'm holding this piece by the 2 tabs on each end, and I'm curving it like so. Now this piece with the tab folded away from it has to fit inside. I'm going to put just a little bit of glue just on that first tab I'm going to glue it to my circle like so. So I want it to be right against that score line. And then I'm going to go to the other end here. I'll put glue on the tab that's on the other end and place it on the other end like so. So both these end tabs have been glued down to my semicircle with the tab. So I'm temporarily folding all my tabs up and I'm putting glue in a semicircle just above those two tabs. And then I'm going to fold those tabs down, flip my piece over so that I'm looking at the interior, and I'm just applying pressure with my bone folder just to make sure that my glue takes. I'm putting glue along the bottom tab. I'm adhering my piece so that the score line to my tab is right on the edge of the cut edge of my semicircle like so. And then I'm going to put glue on the underside of each of these tabs. And then the score line of the tab follows the edge, the cut edge of my piece right here. And I'm doing that for the second tab as well. So my tab here, this is a score line here, and then it's right up against the cut. So I'm going to form that exact same shape for the wheel at the front of my bus. You know this is the front of the bus because it has the smallest little strip here. The exact same thing, folding down the score lines. So you'll notice this tab is larger than this tab. So out of my 4 pieces, I have 2 of them that have the longer tab at the back and the shorter tab for the front of the bus. So these ones will be used for the front and these ones will be used for the back. I have got the short tab on my right. I'm folding down these tabs. I'm taking one of my semicircles with a score line and I'm folding down on that score line. So I'm putting glue on that first tab and I'm adhering it right up against the score line. The score line of the tab is right on the edge of my semicircle, and the edge of my tab is right against the score line of this tab. I'm putting glue on the tab that's on the other end, and then I'm making sure that all those little tabs are above my piece, and just wrapping my piece around it, and then just gluing my tab just across from the other one, like so. And then I'm just folding my tabs upwards so that I gain access to put glue on the semicircle. And then folding those tabs down. I want them to follow the shape of the curved piece. Then I'm going to flip my piece over and just apply pressure. As you see, the short tab is towards the front. I'm going to put glue on the tab. I want the corners of that tab to be right at the corner of this cutout. And then I have the tabs on either side. I'm lifting up the tab and putting glue on it. I'm gluing the tab down. Score line of the tab is exactly on the cut edge. I'm going to do that for that little short tab too. I keep flipping my piece around, just making sure that those sides are where they should be. And so that's one side of my wheel wells done. And I'm going to do the other side exactly the same way. So next I have my semicircles. I'm just going to glue them on top of where those tabs are just to hide them. So now I'm going to glue my sides to my bus. I'm going to start with the straight tabs on the edge. The one at the front just goes along here, that little sliver at the front, and then the long one at the side. And I want the edge to be just at that score line for the tab. And then the back one, I'm going to flip my piece over, and I'm just applying pressure, spreading that glue with my bone folder. And then I'm going to put glue all along that opening for my wheel. And then I'm flipping my piece over and I'm just sort of pinching down on the inside so that my piece follows the shape. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for the front wheel as well. Just putting glue all along the curve, shaping that black piece so that it follows the yellow piece just by pinching and placing those tabs to follow the shape of that curved piece. So I'm going to do that exact same thing for the other side of my bus. So next we're going to work on the front. I'm putting glue all along the tab that's at the bottom. Some of these little tabs, you don't want these to be too small when you're trying to glue them down. But once they're glued down, you can snip them. And I don't want them going past that yellow piece. Adding a little bit of glue right to the edge. And I'm placing my front piece right down on the base. I want the cut edge of my black piece to be right along the score line of the front of my bus. And then I'm going to pick one of the sides, it doesn't matter which one, and I'm going to put glue on the tabs that are on the side. The score lines between the pieces line up with the little corners. I'm just continuing along, putting glue along the tabs and folding my pieces so that they follow along those shapes. And I'm going to do that for the other side as well. So next I have my little support pieces for my wheels. So I fold downwards on the first score line, upwards on the next, and downwards on the third. The circles are exactly on top of one another. And you do that on both ends. I'm just putting glue around one of those circles, gluing the other side to it. I do that on the other side as well. So with those two little panels with the circular cutouts facing upwards, I'm putting glue on all the flat parts. Then I'm reaching into the front of my bus and I'm just threading them through those two holes, and I'm applying pressure from inside. So I want that piece to be stuck down to the base of my truck. So I have the exact same thing for the second set of openings at the back of my truck between my other two wheel wells. So I'm just doing the exact same thing I did for the other piece, putting glue on the flat parts, threading it through and gluing it into place. And I want that yellow piece to be stuck down. And then I'm going to take the back piece of my bus. I'm putting glue all over the tab that's at the bottom. I'm going to flip my piece over, and I just want to make sure that that tab goes from corner to corner. My black piece is right on the score line. And then I'm putting glue on the tab on one side, gluing that in. I'm going in with my bone folder and spreading the glue nicely. And then I'm putting glue on the tab that's on the other side, and I'm gluing that in. And then I have these two pieces. One of them's curved. It goes towards the front of my school bus, and this one is just a straight one. So I've got my bus standing on end. So I'm putting glue on one of the end tabs, and I'm just adhering it to the side of my bus like so. So I'm putting glue all along the curved top at the back of my bus, putting glue on the tab that's at the other end. I'm gluing my tab in, and I want to shape this piece so that it mimics the curved edge of the back of my bus. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the front piece. So now I have a reinforcement piece. I've cut it out of craft board. I'm putting glue all along the underside of it, and then I'm slipping it inside my bus. Now those two little thin strips at the front have to go right in front of those wheel wells. I'm using my scraper tool, applying a little bit of pressure here. And now for the wheels of my school bus. All four wheels go together the same way. So I'm just folding down on all the tabs and going with my bone folder and smoothing out the edges. So that score line at the end on the tab, I'm not going to fold it down, that's just for placement. I'm putting glue from the score line to the end, and then I'm bringing the other end around, joining the two ends. I want the score lines on either side to match up. I'm going to lay my piece down on my craft mat, and I'm pulling the tabs that are on the top of my piece away from the center, and meanwhile the tabs on the bottom are all pointing towards the center. And then I'm going to take one of these rings and I'm putting glue all around the perimeter and then just inserting it inside my wheel shape. And then I'm going in with my bone folder. I'm just making sure that that perimeter piece is following the shape of my round. I need 3 of these pieces, these zigzag pieces. Because these are so small, I put my nail on the score line and fold it all in the same direction. And then I'm just going to go along, reinforce those folds, but in a back and forth pattern. So I'm going to use 3 of them per wheel, and I'm just putting glue on my tab, and then I'm just joining my piece at the tab like so. So the V has to remain in the right direction. My accordion fold is continuous. I'm going to put a glue on this tab and then join them at that tab. I'm basically making a rosette, and I'm just gluing all these long pieces together. So for the last one, I'm just cutting it in half so that it doesn't interrupt my up and down pattern. So I'm gathering up my piece, and then I'm twisting my pieces so that the folded edge are actually pointing upwards and down on the base of my craft mat. You want the cut edge to be zigzagging up and down like so. You've got all your folds on top and on the bottom of your piece. And then you're going to take your wheel piece and you're just going to deposit your rosette inside your wheel piece. And the reason why I did this is because it gives my piece structure, so it doesn't crumple as easily if you put a little bit of weight in your box. So next I'm going to take another one of my rounds. I'm going to put glue all over it. With all those little tabs still folded outwards, I'm going to place my round inside and then fold my tabs over. So those are 2 wheels done. I have to make 4 of them. So next I'm going to install the lid pieces. I'm just folding down on the score lines of the larger piece. So I have the back of my school bus on my right hand side. I have these 2 tabs upwards. I'm putting glue all along the long tab. I'm placing it right along the edge, just along the opening of my school bus. From the outside of my bus, I've just glued the tab just along the score line. So then I have the piece for the other side. The top part is bigger than the bottom part. I'm putting glue all along the tab and then on both ends as well. And then lowering it into my school bus. The score line of my tab is right along the cut edge of my bus. I'm kind of pinching the corners in place as well. I'm going to just lower my tabs into my box, and that seals my box. So now I've flipped my piece over and I'm looking at the underside of my bus, and I have 2 wooden dowels and I've cut them to be just under 4 inches long. And I'm just going to put the first one on the back of the bus and the second one towards the front. So I've got one of my circles with a hole in the center. I'm going to put glue all over, covering up one side of my wheel. So I'm doing that for both wheels. For the back, I have my solid panel towards the inside of my bus. So with the panel towards my bus, I'm threading the second one through. So next I have my glue gun heated up. A little bit of glue just in that center area. And then I have another one of my solid pieces with a circle cut out of the middle, positioning it right on top. So then I have a piece of 80-pound cardstock, a vinyl pattern on top, putting the glue on the underside, centering it as best I can over my wheel. And I'm going to flip my bus around and do the exact same thing for the wheel on the other side. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with the wheels on the front of my bus as well. All right, so next I have my mirrors. So these 2 pieces are identical and I'm just gluing them on top of one another just to make this piece a little sturdier. I glue these 2 pieces together except at the bottom. I'm just going to leave the bottom free for now. I'm going to fold the bottom piece back in opposite direction like so. I'm just going to take some double-sided tape. I'm applying a little bit to the top of my mirror straight across those 2 pieces that I have folded over. And then I'm just adhering it right above that red light on my bus. And right to the side, like so. And I'm going to do the exact same thing for the one on the other side.